live here on YouTube for the Great American Getaway 400 here at Pocono Raceway. Alright, well, we are set up and ready for this one. Hopefully you guys are excited. I know I certainly am. And yeah, we are a little bit behind schedule. I was a little later getting home from work than I was hoping to. Busier at work than I thought I was going to be, and ended up forgetting about getting my fantasy lineup set up, so fantasy won't be something I end up discussing today, so. Or at least I won't be checking mine at the end of stage 2, because, well, there's nothing to check, because SVG's in my garage, and nothing I can really do. Still a chance that it could end up actually working out well. Let me see. Realistically, I mean, Suarez, this is his best oval, typically. Yeah, this is typically his best oval performance. Michael McDowell is not exactly my worst option. And then Bell, Larson, Reddick, those three could end up proving well. Definitely not where I was hoping to use those three. I was kind of hoping to save at least, I'm certainly hoping to save my last Larson for Darlington in a few weeks, but can't get everything we want, so set up and ready for this one. Hopefully you guys are excited. I did not get a chance to see any of the IndyCar race, so let me at least see the results, because I'm sure we're going to end up talking about that at some point to fill some dead air. Let's see. Let's see. Race results. And it was a willpower win with Scott McLaughlin and Alex Palou on the podium there. So Palou made up some of those lost points that he lost out on, because I did get to watch last night's race after the fact. So Alex Palou, after crashing out yesterday pretty early on, ends up coming back to finish second, which pretty impressive. Within the same weekend, McLaughlin, the first and a third, vaults himself back into the potential championship conversation. Let's see. Colton Herta rebounds after a rebounds to get a fifth place finish. If I'm not mistaken, I think he had a penalty late in the race yesterday, which led to a less than desirable finish. Let's see, the DNFs, you had Canapino, Rosenquist, and Connor Daly. Daly in a backup role there, ending up getting the 18 ride after, who was it in that car? Genuinely can't remember who was in the car for the number 18. Jack Harvey. Jack Harvey, ended up stepping out of the ride. He had some kind of wrist issue. Probably shouldn't have raced the first race in the first place, but after his crash in yesterday's race, Connor Daly got the call to step in and fill in for the injured driver. So, alright, and here we go. NASCAR on NBC. Feels like it's been a while since I actually got to sit down and watch the traditional booth, because last week they had the Chicago Street Course with the round the track coverage. Then at the race before that was Nashville. I was here for, but then pretty much the other two races before that, I was either busy on Father's Day weekend or at the track myself for New Hampshire. But we got two more races here before the Olympic break. Again, there will be content during that Olympic break. I'm working on that as we speak, so there will definitely be some videos there. And right now they're showing a compilation of some of the hardest wrecks in Pocono history. Somebody with a really bad helmet throw. I couldn't tell who that was, and I didn't get to see enough of the wreck to remember which year or incident that was. But here we go. So Ty Gibbs and William Byron on the front row, Truex and Hamlin row 2, row 3 Barry and Bowman, Reddick and Blaney rounding out row 4. Zane Smith making it into the top 5, potentially trying to race his way for a new job along with Joey Logano on his outside. Larson and Elliott sharing row 6. Row 7 has Bell and Kozlowski. Row 8, Hocevar and Suarez. Austin Dillon and Chris Buescher make up row number 9. And row 10 is the 1 and 2 cars, Chastain and Cindric. Alright, so there we go. Welcome in, everybody. Hopefully everybody's having a good day. If you guys are, of course, hit the like button and subscribe if you guys are new. McDowell and Burton on row 11. Row 12 will be Eric Jones and it was supposed to be Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch going to the rear of the field. Gregson and Allmendinger making up the row behind them. Looks like Corey LaJoie also going to the rear of the field as he was scheduled to start in row 15. Those two being the only two dropping to the rear of the field. Going to be an impact there. And here we go. We'll have to wait and see what ends up happening here. Trying to remember who my podcast pick was. I can just go ahead and look that one up, though. Let's see. Okay, MTJ was my podcast pick, so. Yep, rooting for MTJ to win the race, and then everybody else in my lineup to finish basically 2nd through 6th. Definitely wish SVG were racing this, because that would make for a pretty easy substitution to save myself potentially a Bell or a Larson usage if one of them wrecks. Alright, so here we go. Settling in for this one. It is hot. It's been hot all across the country, but man, definitely a contrast from the winters that we see up here. So there we go. They're talking to Blaney there and getting ready for this one. I did not get to see much, if any, of the Xfinity. Actually, I didn't get to see any of the Xfinity race. I did get to see some of the NASCAR Truck Series race. But ultimately, Corey Heim came away with the win in the Truck Series. I don't even know who won in Xfinity. I'd have to look it up. Because I did not get a chance to watch Xfinity. Cole Custer, okay. Makes sense. Cole Custer held off Allgaier and William Byron. Sheldon Creed, Taylor Gray rounding out your top 5 finishers yesterday. Alright. Surprisingly, not a lot of, actually no issues for any major drivers. You had Dawson Cram, Balicki, Ryan Ellis, Stefan Malazzi, and Blaine Perkins running into trouble, but realistically, none of them are championship threats, so there we go. Got all checked in, and we are ready for the weekend. Alright, so Michael McDowell starting 21st is going to be the biggest stretch of my pre-race predictions, I guess, since I forgot to update them. Alright, here we go. Definitely starting to wish I had a fan in the room because it is warm in here. Alright, so now they're talking with Blaney's crew chief. They got Jeff Burton on the pit box with them. And they got the Alex Bowman paw print car today. Okay, trying to just memorize some of the paint schemes that are a little different than the usuals. Let me know who you guys think is going to win the race, by the way, today. I know we've had quite a few Denny Hamlin fans recently, so I'm sure we'll see some Denny Hamlin support in here. Bowman, last week's winner. I know Scotty's probably hanging out around. You asking about my pick to win? Because my pick for the race win was Martin Truex Jr. pre-race on the Lap Down podcast that I'm a part of on Tuesday nights. Although I didn't get my first choice. Actually, I picked, I think, second to last. So I ended up getting Martin Truex Jr. For my pick. If I'm using my full-on logic, I think Denny Hamlin is the favorite. Now, that being said, favorites have been known to not have the best of success here. I mean, random things can happen. All right. Phila's pick is Chastain. All right. Yep. Not a bad pick there by any stretch of the imagination. This, the way this oval works is it definitely plays itself out a lot like a road course race. So Chastain, especially with his help from his teammate Daniel Suarez, I think both of them are good picks. Alright, and we are all set and ready for the race. Alright, let me just double check, make sure my mic is working, and we are all good and ready for this one. And I'm going to just check the forecast because I know it was raining earlier this morning over there. Obviously, they're on track and rolling, so we should be all good to go to get the green flag here. Wow. There are 0 drivers who have won 2 races without winning a third. Bell, Larson, Hamlin, Byron, the 3 drivers who have won, or the 4 drivers who have won more than 1 race this year, all of them having 3 wins. Alright, let's see. Alright, let's see. Pocono Raceway's weather is sunny all the way through to like 9 a.m. tomorrow when there's going to be a little bit of cloud cover coming in. So, should be plenty of sunshine for the race. No real threat there. And here we go. Let's see. Chris Buescher's best finishes of his career, best finishes of this season. Currently, Phoenix and Kansas both runner-up finishes. Obviously, Kansas a whole lot closer than any finish we've seen. Although, granted, I say that we've seen it happen twice at the Cup level already this year. But yeah, we're here and ready to go racing. Zane Smith led 3 laps at Chicago last week and ended up finishing 15th. Alright, not a bad stat line there. Alright, Reddick's in the money line car. Logano's got his usual colors. William Byron's got a really weird kind of what looks like a realistic flames scheme, not like a Jeff Gordon type flames. Austin Dillon's got a boot barn scheme. Truex is in the interstate car. You got Busch Peach for Chastain. Just trying to familiarize myself with paint schemes before we go green here. We will be going green here any moment, and should be a good race here. 30 laps for stage 1 here, and it is going to be pace cars off, and it is going to be green, green, green. Green flags out. We are back to racing. And here we go, racing at Pocono here for the first time for the first and only time this season. Ty Gibbs leading the field from his first pole position. And let's see how it goes into turn 1. He looks somewhat strong from the outside, although he's not clear yet. Still not clear. Byron holding tough on that inside. Potentially going to give Gibbs a little bit more trouble, but here we go, coming down the straightaway. He goes up to Byron coming up to try and side draft. Trying to keep the battle side by side for the lead. He knows if this race turns out to be single file, it could become hard to catch and or pass Ty Gibbs for the lead in stage 1. And obviously, William Byron is racing here for both the playoff point and obviously, at least somewhat, attempting to try and go for the points to try and maybe go for a regular season championship, although I think he is still a little ways outside the window to realistically get that one. Let me pull up the points as they run. Even though I know it's early, I just want to see where, if he does finish well, where his live standings would finish. Alright, so William Byron would be 5th if the race ended exactly like this, and he would be 64 points behind points leader Kyle Larson as they run. Obviously, still a long way to go, but just something to keep an eye on. We also got Josh Berry up into the 8th position, making his way up. And, yeah, we're all just settling in. Now that Ty Gibbs has settled into the lead, he can start to, wow, he is actually gapping William Byron. Already a full second over the number 24 team. Alright, here we go. Let's see. So, right now the battle is for second. You've got Martin Truex Jr. looking out behind him at William Byron, or looking ahead of him at William Byron, and looking out behind him because Denny Hamlin is right there. Although, obviously, I think a Toyota teammate like Hamlin or Reddick are more likely to play well with each other. So, there we go. Ty Gibbs coming off a top 5 finish at Chicago last week. Could be in a position for a pretty good race here today. Especially coming from the pole position. He isn't having to fight from behind like some other drivers who are in their first or second season. I mean, Cindric was a rookie 2 years ago and had one of the worst sophomore seasons last year that we've ever seen. He started to bounce it back just a little bit this year, and obviously he's got his win, so he'll be in the playoffs regardless. But Ty Gibbs in his sophomore season, he's trying to avoid that same sophomore slump. And here we go. Let's see. Chris Ravel poking his nose out underneath Joey Logano, trying to make his way up to 10th. Larson up to 8th place. Larson on the charge as well. Both those drivers doing well. Alright. We are just making progress here and waiting to see. Alright, Kyle Busch coming from the rear of the field. Let's see how he's doing. Oh, almost gets wrecked by the 41. Or, I guess I should say off the nose of the 41. It wasn't the 41's fault by any stretch. But, yeah, that was really squirrely to get there, especially this early. You do not want to be running the risk of that. Especially where at this point Kyle Busch has got to be thinking he's pretty much a must-win. I mean, there is virtually no real way to say otherwise. Like, right now, the cut line is Buescher to Bubba Wallace, so Buescher is at 543. Kyle Busch is over 100 points out as they run currently. Now, obviously, that's factoring in that he had to go to the rear of the field, and Chris Buescher is running inside the top 15. Although just barely, he is down. He's fallen to 15th at this point. And certainly something to think about there. Alright, well, we are just chilling here. Hopefully everybody's having a good day. And yeah, right now we're just kind of, again, we're settling in here. Everybody's settled in. Ty Gibbs settling in with a nearly 2-second lead now. And yeah, everybody's having a good time. Alright, let's see. Alright, just kind of looking for stuff to talk about, but NASCAR's not showing much. There we go. Bowman versus Blaney. That's the battle we're getting shown. So that's the battle we're going to talk about because it's all I can see. Bowman versus Blaney. Yeah, Blaney definitely, I would imagine, has the speed, although the Hendrick cars are not exactly slow. Just that Bowman usually is the 4th best of the 4 Hendrick cars. Alright, let's see. Here we go. So, let's see. Chase Elliott to 13th. Oh, man, we're going to commercial break already. Yay. Alright. I am going to go ahead and grab myself a water, and I will be right back, guys. Alright, I am back. Sorry about the delay, guys, and we are here they're back from commercial break. Ty Gibbs is now a nearly 4-second lead. What? I mean, I guess that's just showing how much better a car he has. And then, to his credit, the benefit of clean air. As guys like Larson, Bell, and even guys like Hamlin, who's won at this track more than any other driver, at least more than any other active driver, those drivers haven't been able to make much, if any, progress and have lost a ton of time. I mean, even Chase Elliott seems to be stuck, kind of just mired in traffic about 13th or so. No, he's actually up to 12th. Okay, he's gained 1 spot. Probably when he passed... okay, I need to mute that chat because that is getting annoying. Alright, we'll mute it for an hour and see where it is at that point. Alright. And we got our first caution of the day. Noah Gragson goes around in the overstock Ford Mustang, and I am unsure, but that definitely does not look good. I would anticipate that could be a day ender. We'll have to wait and see. Is he going to drop the window net? If he does, that means he's given up on the day for sure. If he doesn't drop the window net, it means we could see this one. Hey, Scotty, how's it going? Alex Bowman today. Hey, I knew Scotty'd be around. So, Scotty's here and rooting for an Alex Bowman. He is inside the top 10 right now. Back-to-back wins would be impressive there and would certainly make Bowman's case for being just as good as his other Hendrick teammates. Alright, here we go. Let's see. I will say, this caution flag eliminates Ty Gibbs' near 4-second lead that he had built up over the last several laps, and now he's going to have to build that lead back up again. But here we go. Let's see. Looking through the mid-pack, looking to see if there's any notable rise or falls. And they decided to go and hide the mid-pack results, which means I need to just go ahead and scroll through myself. Chris Buescher's maintained a 15th place position. McDowell's fallen to 22nd. I saw that before they went to commercial break. A little bit of a disappointment to see him slip a little. But hey, it's one position. We can make that back. And where did Kyle Busch make it to? Kyle is in 33rd spot. Certainly nothing to write home about. And here we go. Let's see. So currently lap 15 of 30. We're halfway through stage 1. The only reason people would be pitting now would be if they think that tires are going to make a big difference. I'd be curious to see. If I'm inside the top 15, I don't think I pit unless I need points. I don't know, actually. I mean, I guess it depends on how much I think the points are, or how much I think the tires are going to be better, because I know tires here can make a big difference. And here we go. Bell makes the first move, which tells me, yep, the non-point concerned drivers. Bell, Logano coming down pit road. Started up a little higher up the grid than I thought. Started in 10th place for Christopher Bell as the first driver to dive for pit road. I did not anticipate seeing that one. I was kind of thinking guys outside that top 10, maybe back half of the top 15, like maybe someone like a Brad Keselowski if it was about not needing points. Or maybe someone like Chris Buescher if it was about trying to steal points away by taking that pit stop. But no, it definitely seems like a lot of drivers who either need a win or are so far, or are already winners, so they are locked in. And yep, there we go. Bell wins the race off pit road. Logano second, and they go back to commercial break, which means we are back to just chatting here. And again, first 15 laps have just kind of evaporated, so here we go. Let's go ahead and just checking out some of these. We'll start with an easy poll question here. There we go. Gonna do a mid-stage poll here rather than the usual one. All right, there we go. So there we go. We got that all taken care of, and we are just chilling here. Hopefully, everybody's having a good time. Got going on. Alright, we got a Wendy's commercial. Looks like we're leaning towards a Ty Gibbs stage win. It should be a fairly easy question, I would imagine. Most people are gonna say that Ty Gibbs is gonna win this stage, mainly just because of the confidence he showed in that the first half of this stage. But it is certainly not a guarantee. There we go, got my bonus points, and back from commercial break, and we are getting ready to go back racing. Should be getting restarted here any minute. So they got they're showing off the SHR drivers and where they plan to go. 3 of the 4 have made their plans known for next year. You've got Barry going to the 21 and the Wood Brothers. You got Briscoe heading over to replace the retiring Martin Truex Jr. in the 19 at Joe Gibbs Racing. Got Noah Gragson going over to Front Row Motorsports, replacing Michael McDowell. Now, we don't know what car number he'll be in. Okay, so everybody 15th on back, or everybody 14th on up, stayed out to try and get points, or just try and get track position. But the main reason you would stay out, I would imagine, is for points. But I was right about Buescher coming to pit road. I just wasn't right on why I thought that. So here we go. Mike McDowell up a couple of positions compared to where he was. He took 2 tires to gain some spots on pit road. And Logano apparently won the race off pit road, not Christopher Bell. Oh, way out the groove goes Josh Berry, and he is that a flat tire? That might be a flat tire for Berry, as he gets swallowed up by the field, and he is gone. And speaking of gone, so is Martin Truex Jr., who shot out of a cannon there off turn 1. And down towards turn 2, and Ty Gibbs now mired in traffic. He is not going to be the race leader here. Yeah, Ty Gibbs got up the track, and Martin Truex Jr. just shot himself out of a cannon through the middle there. And that is going to put Martin Truex Jr. in a commanding position, and Ty Gibbs now in an unfamiliar position so far in this race, not leading in the field. But there we go, that again starts to just kind of move things around. And here we go. Let's see. So Michael McDowell up to the 16th position. Not bad. And yep, there we go. Barry with the flat tire getting on pit road, getting some tires changed out. And he's going to re-enter the field. Now the good thing about this track is that this track is one of those tracks that is big enough that you can make a pit stop and not lose a lap, as long as you're really good about it, or if you're only taking 2 tires. Problem for problem for Briscoe is whether or not he has the, or not Briscoe, sorry. Problem for Barry is whether or not he has the speed to keep up there. So Rodney Childers, the current crew chief of that number 4 car, he will be going over to Aspire Motorsports to become the new crew chief for Corey LaJoie. And if that doesn't raise Corey LaJoie's performance threshold a bit, I think the questions need to start to be asked about how far Corey LaJoie can really go, because we saw him in the Hendrick car last year. Granted, it was a one-off start. It was only one attempt, but Barry, in a similar amount of attempts, got a second-place finish at Richmond in the same equipment. Obviously different track, and here we go. Zane Smith making a 3-wide move on a couple of the Hendrick Motorsports cars as we speak. There we go. So, there we go. Barry ends up not being able to finish the move on Alex Bowman, but decides to give up the fight for Alex Bowman for the moment, while to secure the spot ahead of Larson. Alright, so there we go. So these guys who didn't take tires starting to fall a little bit. A couple of guys who did take tires starting to rise. Now, Truex only has a half-second lead. Now, granted, he doesn't need that much of a lead. He only needs enough of a lead to hang on for 10 laps, because as of right now, it's 10 laps to go, and they're going to commercial break with Martin Truex Jr. in the lead. Alright, but yeah, that is a interesting race as of right now. Alright, let's see. Just gonna go ahead and quickly check Twitter, see if there's any good stories over there to talk about, or that are worth talking about, that are racing related. Alright, Gregson's steering messed up, done for the day. Alright, 33 of the cars were caught speeding in the in section 7 of pit road during the pit road pass through at the start of the race. That is insane there. Alright, let's see. Anything else racing related on here? We got College Football 25 coming out next week. Oh, here's that crazy crash from Stingray Rob. Yeah, that is by no means, that is not the kind of crash you want to see IndyCar ever have, going straight up into the air. And then just going for a rough ride there. Similarly, actually, at the local dirt track, we had a sprint car end up going for a flip. The driver is okay, so that is the good part, but yeah. Yep, New England sprint cars. The sprint cars in New England series was at my local dirt track this week, so we got to see them race. And yeah, I went and posted a few clips to Twitter, so. Here we go, let's see. Martin Truex Jr., Hamlin, Reddick, the top 3. And Truex starting to gap the field just a bit. And Zane Smith, though, hanging on to that top 10 spot. Definitely seems like track position might be the way to go. If you're questioning potentially pitting near the end of the stage one, you might want to start thinking about that for stage one. But I think more supposedly, actually, realistically, let's think about this for a minute. If I'm one of these drivers who came to pit road, because you can go about 40 laps on fuel here. Let's say I pit with 15 to go when we had that first caution. I mean, honestly, you pit at the end of this stage because there's not really much benefit there. You're still going to have to make a green flag stop in the stage. Now, maybe someone like Bubba won't need to make... he'll be... Now, Bubba Wallace, after he pit there, as long as he stays ahead of Truex, who he is just ahead of... Alright, so they're tying with Noah Gragson, and again, right now, Truex just pacing himself to the checkers. Nobody's really going to challenge him, I don't think. Alright, here we go, let's see. And there goes Blaney passing Reddick for fourth here. Kind of hoping that Bell was going to make a little bit more noise in the stage. Maybe get up there, get a 7th or 8th place stage finish for Bell if he had just stayed out. But yeah, these next two tracks though, Pocono today and Indianapolis next week. Two very similar tracks. Big, flat, 2.5 miles, super speedway type ovals. And here we go, Blaney coming to pit road. Anybody who wants to pit, this would be your time. Hit pit road if you want to pit here. If I'm Christopher Bell, I'd potentially consider it, although he stays out to potentially try and steal some points. Now, if I'm... Okay, Ty Gibbs comes to pit road. I don't understand that call, necessarily. I mean, I guess he thinks that track position really was the only reason he was able to dominate the way he was in that first stage. So he wants the track position back. I mean, that's simple enough. Alright, let's see. But, yeah, Buescher, McDowell kind of, both of them staying out. Buescher more obviously because he needs the points. And, yeah, right now, Bubba Wall is not in position for any stage points. Alright, let's see. Eric Jones might be in position, though, to get a stage point or two here, as he is up into the 10th spot right now. I believe that is 4 tires. Alright, here we go. Pit road is closed, and 1 second separates MTJ and Hamlin. Meanwhile, you've got, obviously, them trying not to lap Bubba Wallace, which I'm sure has been a conversation that has been discussed at this point already. Alright, let's see. So, final lap. Again, Truex is not going to pass his Toyota teammate there. That just would not be the logical move here. Alright, Michael McDowell up to 12th place here. He's actually not going to finish too poorly here in the stage. My worry is going to be what happens at the end of the stage, because I think everybody who stayed on track here Alright, so there we go. Truex, Hamlin, and battling out for the last couple of spots. You got Reddick, Byron, Elliott, your top 5. A very quiet finish to stage number 2 as Alex Bowman, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Bell, and Eric Jones end up being your stage 1 point getters. First driver to miss out on points was Chris Buescher. And let's see. Alright, here we go. It's all settled up. Gonna go use the bathroom and I will be right back, guys. And we are back and ready for this one. Let's see. Let's find a quick storyline here. So, of the people who pit before the end of the stage, which driver has the best stage 2 could be a good question. And I've got a driver for each. I got drivers for each name. There we go. Alright, welcome everybody. Wow, we got 9 people hanging out in chat. Thank you guys for everybody tuned in. Currently at a commercial break. We're coming up. I'm putting up a stage 2 poll right now. Alright, here we go. They're coming back from commercial breaking, getting ready. Pit road is open. Pits are open, and Joey Logano stays on track. I don't know what he's thinking. Alright, there we go, and there's pit road. And we are settled in for stage number 2. They are going to be going inside the, you're going to be doing a lot of in-car cameras with, looks like the 12 and the 38 this stage. So there we go. Got the poll for stage number 2. Which of the drivers who pit before the end of stage 1 will have the best stage 2? I went and threw in the top 3, I think, that are most likely to have a good stage here. And then we'll see if potentially another answer maybe rises here. Obviously, option 4 is other, and if you guys do select that, I'd love to hear your guys' opinion as to who you guys think of the drivers who pit at lap 26 is most likely. So Joey and Brad are the only 2 that opted to stay out the entire time. I mean, that is going to be a curious thing. I don't know what the plan there could be. Let's see. So if they've burned, let's say, 14 laps of fuel, you already know Joey Logano has a bigger fuel tank than everybody else after that Iowa, or was it Iowa win? Was it? No, it was Nashville. Nashville where he saved all the fuel. Let's see. So there are 14 laps on their tank already. Let's just say a 45 lap tank minus 14. Then you go about 31 laps. Alright, so let's take the 65 lap stage minus 31. I would put it at 34. I mean, theoretically, if Joey Logano can do that, it's not out the realm of possibility. Now, if we take 42 minus those 14 laps from before, puts us at 28 laps that we can go into this stage. We take the 28 laps away. It's a little closer. It's 37 laps on the tank, but we can still make it. And obviously, we're taking out a couple of those under yellow, so a couple of those under yellow will help. So the thought process is there, and I think it is a reasonable one to potentially assume that this could end up paying off for these guys. Have to wait and see, obviously, as to whether or not it ends up being the right one. Alright, so currently working lap 34 out of 160. 160 laps here today, 400 miles. And let's see. Alright, so yeah, we're just chilling here, getting ready for the restart. Hopefully should be a pretty good one. It looks like it will be, considering we got 2 drivers potentially. Oh, actually, there were more drivers that stayed out there than I thought. We got a bunch of them. Suarez in the 99, McDowell in the 34, Bell in the 20. Seems like I should definitely be rooting for this strategy. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the 47, also on this strategy. Obviously, that would be me looking at it as an optimist, but I'm looking at it as a realist. I think the numbers are going to be close, but I think math is in favor of the drivers who have stayed out to this point. Now, I guess technically you could say that they pitted in the middle of stage, that they pit in stage 1, 2 before the end of stage 1, so theoretically, I guess you could say Logano would be the right answer, but I was intending to ask of the drivers who stopped around lap 20, between lap 26 and 30, within those last 4 laps of the stage. But hey, you never know. So 16 drivers are on the strategy of saving a lot of fuel. Kyle Busch is also on this strategy. I should be rooting for this strategy. I just don't. I don't know what it is about the confidence in it. I mean, obviously, track position has been good today so far, but we've also only seen fast cars having it. Optimal strategy to win the race, I think that's going to come down to who can afford to lose out on stage points at the end of stage 2. Because I think the optimal strategy here is going to be to pit before the end of stage 2. considering Stage 2 and Stage 3 are the same length, we'll have to wait and see. I think what we see in this second stage will inform a lot of the decisions for that third stage. And we're about to see as the pace car is off and we're going green flags out, and we're back to racing. But yeah, I think if you see the Logano's and Keselowski's be able to hold on for about 30, if we see them be able to hold on for like 15, 20, 25 laps, hold on to the lead for that kind of time duration. Oh, and there goes Joey Logano way out the groove, and he is in trouble already. If we see those guys if we see guys like Bell, Hocevar, McDowell be able to hold on, to their first pit stop and be able to get in the window, I think you'll see some drivers potentially employ a similar strategy of pitting maybe 15, 20 laps before the end of this next stage to try and put themselves in a window. I think pitting close to the end of the second stage is going to be the right choice, though. I think the guys who... Personal opinion, I think guys like Elliott, Ty Gibbs, Kyle Larson, I think those are the guys on the right strategy. They pit before the end of Stage 2, so they did give up, or before the end of Stage 1, giving up points, but getting fresh rubber and a little bit of track position back as the rest of the drivers who pit at the end of the stage, came down and lost spots. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see if that ends up playing out true, but that would be my guess. So if you're talking about those strategy to win the race, again, I think that will be heavily dependent on what we see in Stage 2. Because, again, Stage 2 and Stage 3 are the exact same length. Because if a driver can make it, say, let's just say in a completely unrealistic world, let's say, one of these drivers who pit can go the full 65 laps on fuel. There's no way any driver should be able to do that. Let's say a driver does that. Then you know the strategy. You pit before the end of the second stage, give up your track position, stay on the lead lap, assuming that you're close enough to do so, and then you give up those points there, get yourself the track position, and just run hard to the checkers. Again, I think there will be a little bit of nuance to the strategy, but again, it'll be heavily dependent on which strategy prevails here in Stage 2 as to which strategy everybody starts shifting to in Stage 3. It's almost like if you ran, for example, the IndyCar drivers, they ran the same distance for the Iowa doubleheader yesterday and today, and both of those races ran 250 laps. I guarantee the strategy from yesterday, because of the on-track action and the fact that it was extremely tough to pass, I guarantee that influenced drivers' choices as to whether or not they were going to try and go for a under or overcut strategy. And clearly, something different happened because Will Power was able to win the race and not Scott McLaughlin, so they learned something. Now, obviously, these drivers don't have a night to go and sleep on it about what they did between Stage 2 and Stage 3, but they can still learn from it. And there we go. Denny Hamlin getting into line here, just ahead of what looks like Ty Gibbs and maybe Keselowski. Yeah, MTJ looking at a line. Here goes Byron to the bottom of 3 wide, and that's actually Harrison Burton, not Keselowski that they were 3 wide with. Keselowski the leader. I should have known that wasn't going to be Keselowski. And there we go. Looks like Harrison Burton drifting a little further back now that he's stuck 3 wide with the 12 and the 71. MTJ still looking for a way through, although he's not really having that good of luck here. Bubba is way out the gas there and ended up losing some track position. But this is really the first time we're seeing, though, fresh versus old tires. And right now, the old tires are actually holding up pretty well to the new tires, so There we go. Alright, let's see. Of the drivers who pit at lap 31, we're looking for it. Denny Hamlin in 14th is the highest of them. Highest of the drivers who pit at 26 is Ty Gibbs in 16th. And then you've got Zane Smith in 21st, and Chastain, who pit at 26 as well, in 22nd position. So you have to dig a little bit before you get to the drivers who pit at the before the end of the stage. So it does seem like maybe those extra 2-3 laps were pretty crucial, but again, hard to really tell. So here we go. Michael McDowell hanging on to it and battling with Elliott for a top 5 spot. Or not a top 5, a top 7 spot, though. Alright, and we are just chilling here. Keselowski out there leading the race. Stenhouse and Suarez fighting it out for the 10th position now. Alright, so Kyle Busch and Justin Haley, they didn't take any tires to gain track position. They seem to be losing out ground to the drivers who have 4 fresh tires. But the guys on 4 fresh tires at 14 don't seem to be losing a ton of time or pace to the drivers who are on the brand new tires. So yeah, I would say that this is starting to look like the kind of situation where track position is going to be key. So I guess what would be 80 laps from the checkers would be the question then. Let's go ahead and run these numbers. Clear. So 160, obviously 80 would be halfway. So pitting at lap 80 might be the goal here. Obviously, if so, that would mean you'd be looking over on another 40 laps, which you can't really run 40 laps from here on fuel. Trying to figure this one out. Maybe if you're one of the drivers who pit at the end of the stage, after the stage ended, you got your stage points and stuff last time around, maybe you run a short stint here. Take fuel only here. Take just enough gas to get yourself to like 80, 81, and then run yourself to that point and try and take that pit stop there. Then run 40 laps, pit at 40 to go, and then you have yourself your race win. Obviously, that's also depending on the idea that we don't have any cautions that mess up your strategy, which could always happen. Alright, so let's see. Let's go 80, and then let's say you can nurse 42 laps out of that tank. So that means you'd be looking to get to lap 122 for the checkered flag. And with the stage, and the stage will be beginning at lap 95, which means you'd need to get about, 95 plus, actually let's go minus 222. Means you'd need to get 27 laps from the end of the stage, to get there. Again, it seems like track position's the king, and I would be inclined to think that the track position strategy will end up winning the day at this point, based on the data I'm seeing. Lap time's not really falling off here. Let's see. Last lap was Last lap for Keselowski, a 54.33. His best lap of the entire race, a 54 flat. And for more evidence, let's look to Eric Jones, a driver who is by far not the fastest driver in the field. 54.7, his best lap his last lap. His best lap of the race, 54.2. So he is down about, again, most of these drivers are down about a half a tenth or so, or about a half second or so per lap, but they are not getting passed very easily. And in fact, Chase Elliott on the fresher rubber, he pit at lap 31 at the end of the stage. Yeah, his last lap was a 54.6. Not all that unlike Keselowski at the front of the field in his 54.3. In fact, his 54.3 is actually better than Elliott's. And Elliott's best lap of the entire race is still only a 54 flat. So, again, if these numbers are to be believed, it doesn't seem like tire fall off is as big of a factor. I think you play a strategy to try and nurse the fuel as long as you can. Try and play the fuel mileage game. Start counting the race essentially backwards. So pit at about 122, 123. Then pitting around lap 80 or so. Again, the only problem would be some of these drivers that have no shot at making it to lap 80. Granted, I would imagine it's almost every driver in this field. Because the stage ended at 30, so... Alright, let's see. Again, right now, Hamlin's making his way through the field. Logano's made his way through the field. And they're both closing in on that back bumper of Michael McDowell, about 1 second back from that bumper. Alright, so there we go. We have cracked pretty much all the numbers and virtually every strategy. And as long as nothing drops out of the sky, we should be A-okay. Whew. Alright, let's see. Again, right now we're just chilling out here, working our way through this one. Michael McDowell lost nearly a full second now to the drivers behind him. So yeah, I will say the biggest concern so far is obviously that Chase Elliott has worked his way through the field as well as he has on after pitting on lap 31, that it's going to make that real hard to decide that was the right strategy when Alright, let's see. Come on. Instead of showing us Todd Gilliland's in-car camera, can we see the battle between Hamlin and McDowell, please? They're battling for position inside the top 10. Instead, we're seeing Todd Gilliland's onboard camera while he's running 34th. Alright, here we go. Let's see. Alright. So, yeah, we're just chilling out here. Hopefully everybody's having a good time. and McDowell's losing time all the way around this track at this point. Alright, here we go. Let's see. Well, Keselowski has amassed himself a 6-second lead over Eric Jones for that second position. Christopher Bell about 8 seconds back for third. Alright, let's see again. Right now, MTJ trying to make his way past the number 70, the number 99. Alright, and here we go. Let's see. Oh, no! Yep, there goes Ross. Ross loses a tire, and there comes the caution, and this starts what I think we were going to be talking about. A caution flag at this point. You could take fuel only to try and gain track position. I probably would if I'm one of these drivers who's been making it work on track position. Alright, here we go. Let's see. So, this caution definitely makes this race a bit more interesting. So, we got a caution at 53. Pit road will probably be open at 55, so... That means that it would only need enough fuel to run 25 more laps. If they think they've got 25 laps in those tires, I think you come down for either fuel only or 2 tires stops here. Run a very hard 25 laps and hope for a caution and or pit under your own power. If you're in a team that doesn't have a lot of money... my strategy is if you're someone who's trying to think you don't have a whole lot of points to play with. I mean, not money, but you don't have a whole lot of points to play with. I think you play the safe strategy here. I think you take 4 tires here, run long, and hope for a caution late in the stage to either potentially pit or pivot your strategy at that point. That would be my plan, at least. The tires didn't mean nothing, but fresh tires were definitely different. Yeah, track position is absolutely, track position is going to be the name of the game here. But I wouldn't say the track position meant nothing, especially, because Brad took 4 tires under that last stop. Guys like Michael McDowell, Kyle Busch, some of the guys who took no tires or 2 tires, they were starting to get eaten up by the pack there, only 25 laps into this run, and more concerningly, again, they were in a situation where they were going to be running low on fuel. So, I think this caution came at just about the perfect time for guys like Keselowski and the rest. Well, we're chilling out. Hopefully everybody's having a good time. Definitely tired, but we are still chugging right through, and we got ourselves a lot of math. Which, math races are always some of my favorites. I know that it certainly is not something we want to see every week, but when we come to a track that historically has some green flag racing in its history, when we can see some strategy going on, I enjoy it. Let's say you go 43 laps. You can make it to the end of the stage if you pit here. So, I guess, here's the thing. If you're one of these drivers who pitted at 14, absolutely you pit here. If you're a driver who needs points, you should be pitting. Yeah, okay, there we go. Chris Buescher comes to pit road. Why on earth Ty Gibbs didn't come to pit road? He must think he either needs the win or has enough points in the bank he can afford to go for the win. But here we go. Buescher, 9.6 seconds. Brad Keselowski going for, I guess, maybe being an extra... Well, actually, Keselowski and Buescher were both on the low fuel strategy, so they didn't really have a choice as to whether they came to pit road or not. Alright, so Hamlin, Byron, Hamlin, Trix, Byron, Blaney, and Zane Smith all on 2 tires. Meanwhile, we got a lot of drivers on 4 behind them, so it's going to be curious to see what the 2 versus 4 tire conversation looks like on fresh fuel here. And I think a lot of those drivers taking 2 tires might be looking at only running about 25-30 laps before they're banking on another caution. Versus in the situation of the guys who took 4 tires, they're looking to run this thing to the checkered of the stage. Again, it's hard to completely control this thing because you don't know when the cautions are going to fly. So right now you're at exactly 40 laps to go. You should easily be able to make it from here to the checkers on fuel. I'm going to say, I don't really know what Ty Gibbs' strategy is, because from the place where he pitted, he would need to make it 69 laps to make it all the way to the checkered flag on his current fuel mileage. Alright, let's see. So he pit around, he pit around lap 27. We'll add, let's say, 43. That means he can make it to lap 70 on fuel out of 95, which means he'd be coming to pit road. He'd also be out of the window to make it to the end of the, or into the window for the end of the race, too. I mean, maybe if he thinks he can save some under the caution at the end of the stage, maybe he thinks he could save enough. Because if he goes 43 laps, that brings him to exactly lap 70, which would still leave him with 90 laps to go, which means he would have to average 45 laps of fuel per run to the checkered. And a 45 lap run, I mean, it's within the general outer edges of reality. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I saw what Joe Logano did at Nashville. I was flat out wrong when he went and made it work with that many overtimes. So I could very well be wrong here. I do not see a way that Ty Gibbs wins this thing. Wins this stage here. And in terms of the race, I mean, it comes down to how good you are in the car. Alright, so they're getting, I'll say a couple of teams getting some fuel cans lined up. Not sure if that's just preparing for the next step way ahead, but here we go. Alright, let's go ahead and... We're actually going to go ahead and modify this just a little bit. Okay, no, did not mean to... Alright. So, I'm going to go ahead and... Alright, so I've got a copy of this. We're going to slide this over here. And we're going to use this for last pit lap. Alright, that's laps completed. That's not quite what we're looking for. Last pit stop. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Alright, there we go. So now we got last pit stops in addition to the normal ticker. So we'll leave the normal ticker up there for now, but we do have that now to pivot to. So here we go. Pace cars off, and we are going to be going green. Green flags out. We're back to racing. Cindric and Barry, they had some unique issues as well. They had tire trouble. As I say, Barry had tire trouble. Cindric had Austin Cindric issues. The rest of the field, having just pit, virtually levels the field in terms of the actual strategies that we will see throughout the afternoon. And of course, Michael McDowell's team had an issue. Was it speeding or was it something else? Let me go ahead and look. I was not paying enough attention. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, those guys on 2 tires, all over. There's on 4 tires. Okay, just a slow stop on... A slow stop on McDowell puts him 21st. Come on, man. I'm trying here. I'm trying to look on the bright side for McDowell. I'm not even talking about a win. I'm just talking about a good, solid finish. So here we go. Lap 30 of 65 here. Again, we're looking 20 laps ahead is where we would want to be for that next caution. Again, ideal world. We get a caution right about 20 laps from now. Yeah. And most of these guys will be able to pit. Now, granted, again, they had a lot less numbers here to try and fight it out when they stayed out this time. And now, Josh Berry's the last driver out there who didn't pit at lap 54. So, as of right now, Josh Berry, he's kind of that lone wolf hanging out there. And even that, I would say, is a stretch as to whether or not he can make it a decent chunk. I mean, assuming that 43 is like the hard limit, that means that Barry's absolute max would be about lap 75. Now, maybe a lap or two more. Barry, I mean, it's hard to say. Josh Berry could just about crawl into that window because if he saved enough until the caution, Berry could be in a position. It is a very close one here for Josh Berry as to whether or not he... And again, a lot of his stuff would depend on, 1, getting into that window, and 2, either having a caution coming out at the right time or in the right time frame to force others to follow you. Or if others just decide to follow you out of blind confidence, which I don't know if I would say is the best thing to be banking on right now. But yeah, that is roughly the strategies. Again, there's a lot of people who all pit at the same time. There are 4 drivers out there who didn't. Ty Gibbs, Barry, Cindric, and I don't even know who the 4th one was. Alright, let's see. So, again, we're just kind of waiting to see, but Denny Hamlin is going to be all over the back bumper of Josh Berry here. Again, Hamlin on 2 tires here. He's going to try and make 2 tires work. Alright, here we go. Let's see. Three wins and a runner-up finish in the last 7 Pocono races. I mean, Hamlin is a very safe bet with that kind of record. And I will say, I actually like this Mavis tire scheme a little better than last year's. Last year's, where it was all green, was just too much of all the same color for me. I kind of prefer when there's at least some stylization to it, rather than just a bucket of paint thrown on a car, especially if it's not a good color. Like, if it was the overstock red, like that red, I can make do with it. I can understand black paint schemes for Monster. But, yeah. Alright, let's see again. Right now, Hamlin's just stalking here, waiting to make his move. Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney working their way through the same field of cars. And they're going to commercial break here with Josh Berry on top. Okay. Denny Hamlin second, Ty Gibbs third. Alright, here we go. Let's see. Again, we were kind of waiting it out, seeing just how far we can go. Again, I think lap 70 or 75 is about as far as Josh Berry could realistically go. So I expect to see Josh Berry pit within the next 5 to 10 laps. I think if you want to try and make the case of trying to fuel save all the way to the checkers, I think you pit 20 laps from now. Alright, there we go. Alright, well, we're just chilling out here. Hopefully everybody's having a good time. Again, right now we've been crunching numbers pretty much since the stage strategy has gotten pretty wild and crazy here. Ty Gibbs, again, he's looking to be a contrarian, but it seems to be working for him. Alright, let's see. What else do we got going on? So, again, we're looking at strategies. We're trying to go based off of assumed fuel mileage. But, again, at Nashville, we tried going off of assumed fuel mileage, and we got brutally we brutally underestimated Logano's fuel saving, I guess. And there we go. Hamlin has passed the 4-car of... Hamlin passed the 4-car of Josh Berry here. Just came up behind him. Berry drifted wide on corner exit of turn 3 there a couple laps ago, and Hamlin able to complete the pass. And there we go. Longest streaks of races led at Pocono. So the last time Denny Hamlin did not lead a race at Pocono was 2017 in the fall race, I would assume. And here we go. Ooh, Elliott just nearly shoved Ty Gibbs into the fence as they're racing side by side here. Elliott has the edge. He has the inside lane over Ty Gibbs, but Ty Gibbs has proven on the restarts and stuff that he has the speed to contend. Question is whether or not he has the long run pace that Elliott and certainly Larson will be coming with. Alright. Yeah, again, right now the tire is definitely not making the biggest of differences, but having some versus having none definitely has a change, is definitely a difference. And not one that I think should be easily overlooked. Alright, there we go. And we are just chilling out. Hopefully everybody's having a good time. So, Elliott settles into the 3rd position, Gibbs back to 4th, and now William Byron gets to try and move on the back bumper of Ty Gibbs. Problem is, if he goes for it, odds are Blaney will probably try and go the other direction and see if he can get to the outside of Byron and just carry that momentum around the outside. That is something to be wary of, and obviously I think you pose the question and I think you lay out both situations to Byron and let him decide what he wants to try and do and what he wants to try and let Blaney attempt. Because as of right now, the move is on Blaney. It's on Blaney to make the aggressive decision as to when to get aggressive, when to try and make the pass, and when to wait. But, if Barry starts So yeah, right now, Michael McDowell all the way back to 24th. Come on, man. So much trouble in traffic. Kyle Busch back to 33rd. That is not good. So yeah, they're talking to Chastain, who just got out of pit road ultra. And here we go. Let's see. All right. Alright, here comes Austin Cindric to pit road. When was his last pit stop? Or is it already updated? Already updated, dang it. Okay. Well, Austin Cindric comes to pit road. That is the first one. Again, I would anticipate seeing Ty Gibbs potentially coming within a lap or two. Now, if Ty Gibbs can go another 5 laps, he puts himself in the window to make it to the end of the race. Yeah, for sure. He would need to make it, again, another about 5 laps or so to put himself into that window and make sure he makes it. Alright, let's see. And here comes Blaney to the back bumper of Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs hanging out there. Again, he should be pretty close to out of gas. Let's see. When did Ty Gibbs last pit? Let's go ahead and put last pit laps up there. And Ty Gibbs last pit at lap 26, which means let's see. 26 minus current laps. Alright, let's see. So 26 plus, again, we're assuming a 43 lap max fuel tank would mean that around lap 69 or 70, Ty Gibbs would have been running out of gas. He's made it all the way to 75. He's made it another 5 laps beyond what that fuel tank theoretically should have been able to go. He can go another 5 laps beyond this. He absolutely enters the window to make it to the end of the race. Alright, but yeah, right now Blaney putting as much pressure as he possibly can, and there we go. Yep, Ty Gibbs coming into pit road. I was right, Ty Gibbs comes to pit road here. Now again, he does manage to make this one. Let's see, 26 plus 45 gets him to lap 71, and then we would need to add another 4 laps on top of that to get to this one. So Ty Gibbs is able to make it 49 laps with 2 caution flags involved. So 49 laps is a possible fuel tank for a guy like Ty Gibbs. Again, assuming the 2 cautions, we don't have any way to guarantee or control. Alright, let's see. If we go 49, let's assume he can go 49 laps per run to the checker. That means he only needed to be within 98 laps of the finish, so he was well within his finishing there, I think, to make the 98 lap run to the checker. But again, that would be assuming that he has the same exact pace all the way to the checker and gets the cautions to match. Alright, here we go. Just trying to make something happen here. This has been a long race. We're just kind of chilling here. It's a long one. Here we go. Barry comes to pit road. Lap 78, still a little short, but I think... Okay, so Barry should be in the window, I think, to make it... Yeah, 1 stop from here to the checkers. Ty Gibbs, I think, is 1 stop from here to the checkers. Cindric, I think, is too far gone. So... Or 1 stop to the 2 stops to the checkers here. settling in here and getting ready for this one. They got an Olympics commercial going on. And again, we're entering that window. If I'm one of these drivers, I'm starting to consider pitting here. Now, maybe you want to pit just a little bit later. Have a little bit fresher tires, be able to flip the script. That way you can actually race them when you have slightly older tires here. Alright, so there we go. Alright, so looks like we think Kyle Larson is going to be the best of the drivers who pit. Blaney, though, definitely seems like he's a strong contender to have a pretty good Stage 2 finish. It all comes down to whether or not Blaney or Larson opt to pit before the end of the second stage here. Again, 15 laps to go in stage 2. Again, we have hit lap 80. This would be the question mark that I would have here. Alright, they're showing off a bunch of highlights for Richmond. Richmond was announced that it will be the first race with the option tire for a points race. So a softer tire will be available at Richmond. Should hopefully add to some passing at the track. It's also the first race after the Olympic break. So we got a little bit of time for that. Alright. And back from commercial break. 14 laps to go here. Yeah, Denny Hamlin just complete cruise control right now. Just absolutely coasting it right now. Alright, here we go. So again, it comes down to... I think you're more likely to see a bunch of people pit with like 5 laps to go than you will 15 to go. So I think we will see them wait till 90 to go, even though mathematically you can make the same exact strategy work. You just have more wiggle room, I guess, to play with in that situation. Alright, let's see. So they're showing off the delta here. 15 seconds behind the leader is the furthest back you can do to actually be in position to make that pit stop work. Yeah. So 15 seconds behind. Alright, so as of right now, I believe they're saying that it's actually a 12-second delta here. I thought it was going to be higher than that. So, yeah, I mean, as of right now, that really only puts guys like Buescher, Keselowski, Truex, Hamlin, Blaney into the conversation for this strategy. The problem is, second Hamlin pits, that opens up that window to a bunch of other people. Alright, let's see. Now, if I'm Hamlin, I come to pit road coming to 2 laps to go because I can get to pit road before the guy behind me, Chase Elliott, crosses it. Now, if I'm that person, that I think that could potentially start a bit of a war there, or a bit of a pit stop frenzy. Sorry, I was just seeing the contact between the 77 and the 34, where the 77 just absolutely cut the nose off of Todd Gilliland. Alright, here we go. Let's see. So the 77 is now up to the back bumper of Justin Haley's car. Again, right now, I'm at a loss right now as to what we're going to see. We got 10 laps to go. Let's see what we got going on. So I've been doing a lot of features on pit crew members, which isn't a bad thing, but it just kind of, I think it goes to show the lack of intriguing storylines on the track right now. And again, we've kind of talked about them to death. And right now we're just kind of in a waiting game for about another 4 laps or so. Again, I think if Elliott or Blaney come to pit road, I think that could open up some of those strategies. The big thing is if Hamlin tries to flip the stage. Hamlin doesn't need the bonus point quite as badly as some of the other drivers who could use regular points. If I'm Buescher, I stay on track here. I think he needs the regular points. Let's see. Again, 8 laps to go. They go to commercial break. A side-by-side commercial here. Watching this one, but again, right now there's not a whole lot going on in terms of this strategy. We're just kind of waiting. And until the first person breaks here, there's not really a big guessing game going on. Alright, there we go. Laps to go, and again, we're just counting down the laps, waiting this one out. This one, there's not a lot to say here. It's just kind of, it is what it is. Here we go. 6 laps to go. We're entering the window where I think some of these guys, 2nd through 7th, might try and make this strategy work. Again, the problem right now is Hamlin is kind of trapping people out of the strategy, so there's less available people to try and go for this strategy than normal. And then you've got the question of some of these drivers needing the points. So here we go. Let's see. That's it. This new, I like, the NASCAR commercials are always so solid. Indianapolis next week. We got a 2:30 start time. Should be a pretty good one. And let's see. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at my garage. Let's see if there's anything I can do to salvage it. If there's somebody I can save a use on that isn't going to sink my day. Or if what I... Oh, and here we go. Buescher makes the card. I thought Buescher was going to be one of the ones that would maybe stay out here, try and get the stage points. But I guess he opted to try and go for the flipping of the strategy here. Go for the win in the race. Not a bad idea, but I question its actual math behind it. Because again, pitting here, you're giving up any shot at stage points. Now, granted, again, theoretically, you're in a they're in a must-win to try and pass you. But if there is a must-win, if one of those must-wins happens, you're now out and needing to point your way back in as the 17. Yeah, there really isn't anywhere I can save points. I mean, I can save a McDowell or a Suarez usage, but I'm not going to use up all 5 remaining Suarez, or all 5 McDowells, I mean, that I got left. And I certainly am not using up all 9 Suarez that I got left in the regular season. So I don't think there's really any benefit to me just tanking my points day. And I'm still 7th, despite all that effort, all the issues and stuff. Looks like a lot of people forgot to set lineups. Here we go. Here comes Blaney to pit road with 3 laps to go. Next time by would be Hamlin's chance to pit. Blaney, Truex, this was their last chance to come to pit road before the thing. Because if Hamlin stays out this next lap, he forces everybody else to also stay out. Because pit road will be closed before they get a chance. But Hamlin, if he opts to pit, that would open the door to, I think, about 5 or 6 more drivers to potentially try and pit here and flip the stage as well. Now the question is, who all of those guys would take it? If all 5 to 6 of those guys take it, then I think you have a much bigger opportunity for maybe someone way further down the line who could maybe pit and somehow stay on the lead lap. If they tried to pull, someone tried to make a strategy play, although no one did, and yep, there we go. Hamlin stayed on track. Pit road is closed, and we're not dealing with a situation like that, so nobody's trying to flip the stage. As I say, we had a few drivers try it. So wait and see how they stack up at the end of the stage 2. But Hamlin's going to go ahead and get it done. And Elliott's going to come home 2nd. 3rd, Keselowski. 4th and 5th, Byron and Eric Jones. Just not a lot going on. And the regular season standings, it is a 1-point championship battle between Larson and Elliott. Reddick staying close though. He's moved his way all the way up into the 4th position, or up to the 3rd position even. He's only 19 points back, which is impressive for a driver who only has 1 race win on the season. Alright, Michael McDowell back in 20th. Come on, man. Alright, yep, last lap of stage 2 here. We're just kind of waiting again. Hamlin opted to stay out, which trapped a lot of people on the lead lap who I think were maybe questioning whether or not Hamlin comes to pit road here. If Hamlin came to pit road, potentially that, again, would have opened up some of the strategy options, but Hamlin closing off strategy options making everybody else go with his, yeah, making a lot of the other people go with his strategy here. Alright, well, they go to commercial break, and we are going to be getting ready for some strategy and working out the calculator here in a bit. So, ultimately, Ryan Blaney pit, and that did lead Larson to the best of those drivers who did pit, who pulled that pit strategy, so Larson did get that one right. And here we go. Let's see. I'm gonna hop on Twitter, see if anyone else is doing any math stuff. Let's see. Michael McDowell there doing that. Let's see. Well, I'm not seeing anybody on Twitter crunching any numbers, which is unfortunate because I would love to see some people on Twitter crunching the math here. Okay, so a bunch of drivers came to pit road before. Okay, Bob Pockris is posting a list of drivers who came to pit road. That doesn't seem to match up with the list I had, so we'll have to wait and see who ends up staying out here and what the lineup ends up looking like. But here we go. Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Elliott, and Byron coming down pit road. Those are the focus drivers. Say all of them except for Elliott. Elliott has the hardest pit box of those four. Say the 24 and I believe the 11 both have empty pit boxes right in front of them. The 9 okay, so Chase Elliott has a empty pit box heading in, which means the 6 had the hardest pit box there with cars both in front and behind him. Reddick gaining 9 spots on pit road from just how fast his pit crew was. Keselowski, Gilliland gaining 19 spots on pit road. That is impressive. A 2-tire stop there, and all of a sudden, right in the conversation. Whew. Alright, let's see. Any other numbers games? Let's see. again, looking for people who have the numbers. Alright, so again, they have until 8:30 local time to finish the race. We're well within that. We're going to be done way before that, so this race will not come down to time. Alright, well, again, we've crunched pretty much all the numbers. We're just kind of waiting to see what the actual lineup's going to look like here. And we do have last pit laps up there. Alright, there we go. Double checking everything again. These lineups are sometimes unreliable, so I'm waiting until we get back from this commercial break as they're showing off the 30th anniversary of the Indianapolis Brickyard 400 here, so I can actually see for sure who it is going to be. So I think it is. I think right now it is accurate. So Buescher, Barry, and Blaney, the top three. Your first drivers freshly off pit road was Tyler Reddick and Brad Keselowski. So Blaney and Truex were really the only ones to pit recently that are in the front. I think the fact that there's only 6 of them is not gonna bode well for them. So again, I think Barry pitted too early. I think Cindric pitted too early. I think Cindric for sure did. Barry could be close. Now, Barry would need to make, to make it on fuel from here, he would need to make it, I think, 43 laps on fuel per tank of fuel. Now, granted, of course, he has some caution laps here to help that fuel mileage along, which is why I think Barry could be in the window. Buescher is, I think, in the window. And, obviously, Ty Gibbs is on that edge of the window as well. Buescher pit at lap 89, which absolutely puts himself in a very good spot here. Especially assuming that he's able to take off and lead the race the same way we've seen guys like Denny Hamlin, Ty Gibbs be able to do the same. So, yeah, he pitted on lap 89. Should be pretty easily able to make it to the end of the race on one more stop. Again, I would still be looking to try and make that stop early, but you wouldn't be as restricted in when you take the pit stop as if you're, say, Josh Berry. Ty Gibbs is also in that situation. I think Ty Gibbs would need to make 44 laps per tank, so we'll have to wait and see. So, again, Gilliland is on 2 tires. Virtually everybody else took 4 tires when they stopped, so should be pretty easy to keep track of who's who. It's not about how many tires you took at this point, it's just about when you took him, because everybody's on 4. Again, aside from Todd Gilliland. Lights are off on the pace car. Pace car dives for cover, leaving the field in the hands of Chris Buescher and Josh Berry. And we're going to be going green, green, green. Green flag's out. We are back to racing and back underway. Let's see. Can Chris Buescher be able to pull off the upset victory and be the next surprise winner? Here we go. Diving to the bottom goes Cindric. Now getting stuck middle here. You really don't want to get stuck in the middle right now, in the middle of all this chaos, because the lack of yellows for contact makes me a little curious. Alright, here we go. Again, right now, Martin Truex Jr. has worked his way all the way up to the second. He's battling with Ryan Blaney here for the second position. Truex pitted same lap as Blaney, both pitted before the end of the stage. So it very well could be a game of strategies here. Kyle Larson up to 4th place though. He is on that. He is on the rubber that they just put on the track. Alright, let's see. Again, right now, everybody's just kind of hanging on there. Buescher absolutely did explode to about a 1.5 second lead here, and he's just going to stabilize now that they've all kind of gotten in a single file line. He was gaining a lot more when Buescher when Truex and Blaney were fighting for position, but now that they've settled out, definitely looks to be a bit more of a just kind of a waiting game for Buescher. So ideally, we want to see each of these drivers at most, or at least try and get about 20 laps left on their fuel. Now, that's going to be hard for some of these drivers who have for some of these drivers who already have 25 laps since their last pit. And to the credit of the guys who took 2 tires, Todd Gilliland's already fallen back behind Michael McDowell for context. He's all the way back in the 22nd position, Michael McDowell 21st. I mean, that is not by no means a great decision at this point. When do I think Buescher pits? I mean, he's the safest in the window. I think absolutely he runs minimum 20, maybe even 30 laps before he pits. I think the bigger question is going to be Ty Gibbs and Berry. Those two are the ones that I think are the closest to making it on fuel. That I think could reasonably make it. First off, Austin Cindric is completely evaporated out of the top 10. And so he's in 14th place. So I think we can erase Cindric because I don't think Cindric matters at this point. So I think, yeah, Gibbs and Blaney are your, or not Gibbs and Blaney, Gibbs and Berry are your 2 biggest question marks when it comes to fuel. Now, if they pit early, let's say they pit right at lap 80, or not at lap 80, but at lap 120, do we think that they can make it to the end of the race from there? And if so, does that start to potentially force guys like Buescher to pit earlier than expected to try and match them, or does he run longer and hope to catch a yellow? I mean, it really is just kind of a bit of a guessing game here. But yeah, Buescher's got a 1.5 second lead here, not a 2 second lead. I'm going to go ahead and just put back up the margins. We'll bring back up the pit stop count later if and when the pit stops start happening, or when we start getting close to that window. But we got about 15 laps before we start really talking about the potential of pit stop window opening. Alright, let's see. Unless somebody else has some numbers that disprove what I know, but I know you can make it about 42, 43 laps on fuel. And, yeah, we're waiting to see it. And, of course, the question also coming as to, okay, when and if any cautions are coming, how does that play into your decision? Can that even play into decisions at this point? Alright, so Larson thought he had a loose tire. He did not end up coming back down pit road, so we'll have to wait and see there. Let's see. Again, not much going on Twitter. I keep checking Twitter to see if anybody on Twitter, because I remember after the Nashville race, finding a bunch of mathematicians and stuff on Twitter breaking down the fuel mileage. But let's see. Yeah, again, just no one really talking in there, and we are just back from commercial break, which means we get to start looking at actual race cars on track, and Barry has started to fall. So again, so there's talking about the pit window opening at lap 118, which is right around where I was saying. I said 120, that was where I was kind of averaging it because 40 laps to go. Again, 42, 43 I know is very possible, and in fact I think we saw Ty Gibbs with the caution flag, with 2 caution flags, was able to make it a whopping 49 laps. So obviously there's one less caution flag right now, so he could potentially make it. I think he can make it potentially as far as to say 43, 44 laps on this tank of fuel. Alright, let's see. And again, right now they're just kind of managing it. Oh, Barry comes to... Why? Josh Berry comes to pit road. Oh, and they started servicing the car outside the pit box. When it rains, it pours. Josh Berry's day is essentially done. I mean, I'm sure you can maybe go and find some way to try and spin a positive spin on this, but I don't really see a way. Because, yeah, he will have to, I believe he may have to, depending on if they serviced him after he slid through the front of his pit stall. As I say, Barry could be even further back, but we'll have to wait and see. But, yeah, I thought Barry was the more secure of the two of them. I thought Ty Gibbs was the riskier one. He pitted 2 laps earlier. But, now we've got... So now Barry has gone and eliminated himself from the conversation, which means that now we have a conversation between essentially just Ty Gibbs, Chris Buescher, and then the rest of the pack is all pretty much pitted the same lap or two. Alright, here we go, let's see. But, yeah, right now we're just kind of waiting this one out, seeing what happens here. So, Barry is officially 1 lap down. In position for the free pass if we get a yellow, but free pass means he still has to pass everybody on the track. He doesn't get to automatically just be the leader of the race, unlike if he were tailing the lead lap when the caution comes out and non-fresh tires. Alright, and now we start to enter that window. 46 laps to go. We're 46 laps to go. Can this race end up making a difference here? 46 to go. Do you pit at 46 to go, assuming that you can make it that extra 3 laps above the average? They're coming to pit. Okay, they go and throw out a side-by-side yellow. We're expecting that. At least I'm expecting that right after this commercial break, we may see a rash of pit stops. Although I think we might see potentially a Ty Gibbs pit stop here before this. Alright, let's see. 10 teams ready to ride, and 10 teams done for the day. That is it. Oh, and we got a caution flag. Caution's out. Hey, Carl, how's it going? And we just got a caution flag, and this changes everything. We are 45 laps from the end of this. Or 45 laps to go in this race. This is going to be a fuel mileage race. Oh, please let this be the last caution. Please. If this is the last caution, we have a very compelling race on our hand. Because right now, it's going to be 45 laps to go. Nearly everybody on the lead lap here. We can go ahead and find this one out. But, yeah. As of right now, 45 laps to go. Everybody can make about 43 laps on fuel It'll make a very compelling story if this is the last caution. Now, do I predict or think that this is the last caution? No, I don't really think that that's the likely story. I just think that it's the plausible, it's possible, and I think it's absolutely the right, it's the best option available if we do ultimately get, if we were to write the script, that would be the thing. Alright, so they're coming back from commercial break. We're chilling. And we are getting ready for this one. Again, we've cracked pretty much every number here. 42 laps to go when they open the pit road. So, again, that makes it a little bit more comfortable for these guys than if we opened pit road a lap or two ago. But, yep. So, right now, we're supposedly pit road is going to be open at lap 42. So, we'll have to wait and see. But right now, I think this is the best case scenario for Chris Buescher, I think. It certainly helps Ty Gibbs' situation, I think. Although I think everybody appreciates this, especially the guys who are near the front, because I think they're going to just stay closer to the front. Alright, here we go. So obviously I think some of these drivers also have fuller tanks than some of the others. Like, obviously Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson, they can pit and they don't have to stop for nearly as long. Versus the guys like Ty Gibbs, whose tanks were nearly empty. They're going to need to fill that thing all the way up. Alright, here we go. Buescher stops very short in his pit box. Now I got Brad Keselowski stopping in his pit box, pretty much right in the middle. There goes Ryan Blaney leaving his pit stop. Only a 6-second pit stop for Blaney? And say, yeah, see, was that a 4-tire stop for Blaney? A 6-seconder? There's no way. There's no way they got 4 tires done in 6 seconds. Alright, and a lot of 2-tire stops there. Larson, Blaney, Elliott, Hamlin, Bowman, Logano, and Byron all taking 2 tires along with Christopher Bell. Martin Truex Jr., the first driver on 4 tires. Alright, and they go to their commercial break, which means we got ourselves a bit. There we go. Alright. Well, yeah, thanks for everybody that's tuning in. Derek and June Smith as well, it looks like, are also in the chat. Alright, well, thank you guys. Appreciate having everybody that tunes in and hangs out in here. Yeah, we've been crunching numbers for a couple hours now. It's a little tired, but should be getting ready for a nice sprint to the checkers here. No. Elliott, Larson, Ty Gibbs, and Suarez, all with speeding penalties. And that just changed everything. There is no way. Yep, speeding penalties. Suarez, Elliott, Larson, Gibbs. All four of them speeding, all in Sector 7, the same sector they had trouble with earlier this morning. Alright, here we go. Travis Peterson telling McDowell to save. I guess he thinks that they may be short on fuel. I don't know if they didn't get the car full or if they just think that it's that much of a stretch to really make it from here or not. From this far out, I mean, I think it's on the outer edge, but we've seen drivers do it, and especially where you have some caution laps as well to go with. I don't see any reason this should be close, so hopefully they didn't short Phil McDowell's car. If so, I might have a fight to pick. And here we go. Yep, so there's the four drivers all penalized for speeding on this stop. Again, Larson, Elliott, Ty Gibbs, and Daniel Suarez all hit with speeding penalties here. But, yep. Alright, and here we go. They're coming down to serve their pit road speeding penalties. And again, they're closing in on enough laps. Again, 42 laps. Now, saving is good just in case we do get overtime, similar to what happened in Nashville. I mean, hopefully, maybe that's the reason why Peterson was telling McDowell to save. But, again, I think we've seen some of these drivers make insane fuel mileage earlier today. I would be concerned if McDowell wasn't part of that. But, yep. Here we go. Lights are off on the pace car. Ready to go back racing. And it is Hamlin, Blaney on the front row. Second row looks like it'll be the 48 and the 24. Then you've got the 19 and the 22, I believe that is, row 3. Alright, there we go. Alright, here we go. Let's see. Now, I will say, whatever Kyle Larson's going to do on this restart is going to be some of the most entertaining racing we've ever seen. Who I got to win? On the Lap Down podcast, which I'm a part of, I'm on there virtually every single week. We do weekly picks. Martin Truex Jr. was my pick there. I was not the first person to pick. My first choice would have been Hamlin. Yeah, but I ended up getting Truex for my pick because I was picking later in the round, so going for Martin Truex Jr. He's top 5 right now. He's got a chance. Would love to see Michael McDowell win, but he's coming from deep in the field. But here we go. Yep. Pace car will be off. We'll be going green with 40 laps to go. And again, this conversation of how far can the fuel mileage go? Green flag's out. We're back to racing. And Nobody runs out of gas. That's good. Obviously, this is the first restart. This should not be the start you're struggling with fuel on. Oh, and there's a spin! Somebody just... Who just... Oh, and there's another KO! Who... Oh, Kyle Busch was the driver that first got KO'd. I'm just going to type him. And there we go. Yep. There goes Kyle Busch. Stenhouse too? Come on! Alright. So, who dumped... I gotta see the replay here. Who wrecked my guy? Who wrecked Kyle Busch here? I mean, as long as McDowell wasn't involved, because that wreck also happened right in the same realm as Michael McDowell, where he was running. Looks like McDowell might have been... yeah, he was right there in that same range. Please tell me he got through. McDowell got through it. If somehow this wreck involved all my favorites, that would be concerning. But no, it looks like McDowell made it through. Stenhouse climbs from the car. And I say, this is certainly not going to help improve that relationship any. Okay, here we go. So we got the... Okay, whoever that black car is. Okay, and then the camera follows the spinning car, not the car that dumped him, so... Okay, so it was Corey LaJoie who wrecks him, okay. Alright, so Kyle made a bit of a late block, and then Corey just turns him. I mean, that was no reason there. No reason for that level of wreck. Trying to see if some of the other guys I know that are watching this race saw anything other than that, because obviously the Kyle was biasing me. Because Kyle appeared to give room after the block too. You know, see if somebody else can maybe help remove some of my Kyle Busch bias, because obviously I'm always going to see it with a little bit of a tinted lens. Alright, here we go. On board. Okay, at least one person backing that up. Which is not great, because I was kind of hoping that somebody was going to say that, oh, well, there was this or that type of thing, or maybe he had a hung throttle. Like a stuck throttle or something, but no, doesn't appear to be that was the case. Go, and we make it through that crash while still having Michael McDowell at least. So I still have McDowell to root for here. Obviously, the top 5 or 6 were unaffected by this, and this is virtually going to give them enough fuel that if we go exactly 400 miles, there's no worries about fuel mileage at this point. But, yeah. Alright, here we go. LaJoy Radio. This is what I want to hear. Okay, I think so. He hooked himself. He hooked himself?! I don't see how on earth that was Kyle Busch hooking himself. And I'll gladly admit when it was Kyle Busch's fault. Like, one wreck that I probably gave a bit of, again, the Kyle Busch stuff to was like the wreck at Oxford last week. Before Chicago, where he got spun out. I've said repeatedly he got spun out. Really, he was cutting down across the nose. But, yeah. Yep. That was definitely a, I'm not a big fan of that quote on the radio. Hooked himself? There is no way you can justify that term. Yeah, they're talking about before the race. They're talking about it not being an accident on the TV broadcast too. Yeah, that was definitely intentional. I called it that it was intentional as well. You could definitely see it being a questionable one rather than it being an automatic for sure. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and refresh the standings just to see where the actual, standings are. But there is no reason. Alright, so Denny Hamlin's only 8 points out of that battle. So it's really a four-way battle for the top spot in the regular season championship. And now that battle between Buescher, realistically, Chastain at 530, but now Kyle Busch being wrecked, that puts him still 100 points out. But yep, here we go. Yeah. I mean, maybe if somebody else happened to see something on that could maybe help me not feel as aggressive towards LaJoy, but there's no reason. I mean, again, if he'd said he misjudged it, I could have accepted that as an apology and an accident. His fault, but not intentional. I could have accepted that as an explanation. Because one of my friends in my chat, or in our group chat, even brought that up when I mentioned that, and it's like, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I've said this now for a little while at this point, basically ever since the Rodney Childers news got announced. But LaJoy has got to be in a very high pressure situation next season to get results. If he doesn't get results next season, I will be very concerned with his potential to actually stay in that ride. He's been very fortunate to let that 7 team, that he and that 7 team have been able to shine here. But when you haven't been able to show a whole lot of improvement beyond the level that you're shining at, and now your overall season is being outshined by a rookie in the same equipment, and you're going to have another veteran coming in who could potentially outshine your equipment as well, then I think that the eyes are going to start to be put on him, especially where he's getting a crew chief upgrade. I think the questions are going to need to start to be asked about LaJoie at some point, but again, I think LaJoie very well could get up. Okay, here we go. Let's see what Kyle has to say here. Kyle Busch. Louise from the Care Center. Okay, can you offer us more clarity on what happened? No, I want to thank our partners. Okay, yep. Everybody behind the number 8 machine. Yep, going and shouting out all the sponsors. Seems like there was an issue between you and LaJoie. Conversation needs to be had. Nah. Alright, that is a really frustrated Kyle Busch. You know Kyle's really not happy when he's giving no answers. Oh, there we go, where he wanted to hold all of his comments. But yeah, he was talking with the radio people though, I'll say that much. So maybe if somebody's listening to the MRN broadcast, I don't know who's listening to that, and also has an ear or eye on this broadcast, but yeah, it looks like he went and maybe talked a little bit more with the MRN guys. But alright, here we go. Watching the onboard. Yeah, Kyle's onboard isn't going to provide any clarity. If I could see that other onboard again, though. Can we see LaJoie's onboard again? NBC? Nope. Of course not. Alright, well, again, I think I've pretty well said my opinion on that. I think, first off, especially because of what LaJoie said, sounds like intentional and... Yeah, here we go. Green, green, green. Green flag's back out, and they're back to racing. And here we go with another car up the inside here. Who is that on the inside in that blue car? Is that Michael McDowell? I haven't seen McDowell really today, so I don't know. It could be Briscoe. Looking at the position. Oh, we got another wreck! Yep, another wreck, and Suarez avoids it, and it's the 71 and the 42. Zane Smith and John Hunter Nemechek get torn up in this one. That brings out the caution once again, and yeah, based on the timing and positioning, I think that was Briscoe, not McDowell. McDowell, I think, has a blue sponsor on his car as well, and oh no, John Hunter Nemechek's car is beached. So he might have enough car left to be able to roll back to still be able to repair it, but they're going to have to tow him back to the pit road. Alright, here we go. Let's see. Who you guys think is going to win? I mean, at this point, I think the fuel mileage is out the question, so I think it's just about who has the fastest car and the track position. So, Bowman's in position, Blaney, Hamlin. Unfortunately, Truex seems to slip further and further on each of these restarts, although he's also in a position where he could have easily gained back the spots if the run had just gone on longer. Man, but yep, there's another one around. let's see. So yeah, they're showing again the greatest hits of the big hits. Casey Kane's wreck there, Keselowski and the 33 wrecking here. And showing off Jeremy Mayfield, I believe that is, in the 19. No, that's Elliott Sadler was in the 19. The crash that ended Jimmy Johnson's competitive career. And then the crash with Austin Dillon, last year, I believe that was. And here we go, 33 laps to go, and we got a destroyed number 71 car, which Zane Smith is already out of, and then we've got the second car there, which should be repairable, so I would anticipate seeing them try and get that car towed back to pit road if they can. I know you're typically not supposed to be allowed to get your car towed to pit road, but I would imagine extenuating circumstances, considering the state of the situation. But here we go. Let's see. All right. Let's see. What do we got? Alright, well, we're just chilling out here. Hopefully everybody's having a good day. If you guys are, of course, hit the like button and subscribe if you guys are new so you guys don't miss any future videos or live streams. We've been doing these types of streams all season long, and going into Indianapolis next week, I am planning on streaming all 3 races. Not going out to the local track this week, so that way I can be home to stream the Indianapolis, the IRP race for the Truck Series. Then we got Xfinity, which I hope is at a time I can actually watch now that I think about it, because Xfinity sometimes has crazy early start times. No, 3:30 for Xfinity and 2:30 for Cup. I'll be able to do all 3. Triple header weekend. Let's go. Gotta love a good old triple header. And let's see. Actually, I just thought of a thing I needed to add to a list I was sending to a friend. Alright, let's see. Alright, here we go. Coming up on 30 laps to go, and they're coming back on commercial break. So, here we go. Alright, let's just hope that we can actually get this race going this time. Alright, well, here we go. We are just getting ready for this restart. Hopefully we should be back here any minute. And here we go. A lot of people choosing that outside lane, allowing Martin Truex Jr. to jump a couple rows, moving himself up the inside. So MTJ able to get all the way up to third car on the inside line. Alright, here we go. Definitely an exciting time. Looking forward to this one. Reddick's 12th, Kyle Larson in the teens. Say those are kind of my three big hitters. I don't know where Suarez has ended up after all this. I think he may have gotten involved in one of the wrecks. Maybe not. Thought he did. Suarez is 20th. Okay, so my lineup's actually not doing too terrible. My worst driver's currently 20th. So, I mean, at the very least, we're going to do something maybe, but it's not going to be an optimal point day, because I probably would have used Hamlin and Truex both in my lineup today. So, the number of winless streaks snapped in 2024. Yeah, Keselowski, Cindric, Bowman all breaking streaks of 80 or more races. Then you got Suarez breaking 57 race winless streak. Nashville for Logano breaking a 49 race winless streak and 42 race winless streak broken for Chase Elliott when he won at Texas. And pace cars off, field in the hands of the 12 and the 48. Green flags out. We're back to racing, and here we go. Back to racing. Here we go. People diving out of line already. Big blocks coming in. Kyle Larson tries to make the block. Almost gets taken 4 wide there. It is 4 wide entering one. And Ty Gibbs with some kind of issue there coming down the front straightaway. Looked way off the pace and a ton of smoke. Not sure if that's a flat tire or what. We'll have to wait and see. But here we go. Let's see. Briscoe. I believe that's got to be the high point car then for Briscoe. We got Michael McDowell further back in another blue, in a blue 34 car looking for him. But they're not really showing him. Obviously, he's battling, for like 20th here. Yeah, there's smoke coming out the tailpipe, but all the tires seem to be up. I don't know what that problem could be. Could it be a transmission issue for Ty Gibbs? If so, that is going to massively hurt the points day. And caution is out. 8th caution flag on the afternoon here. And yep, caution is thrown for Ty Gibbs as he was limping around. And they're determining that there is fluid on the back straightaway, which is why they threw the caution. Alright, well, here we go. Let's see. Again, right now we're just chilling. Hopefully everybody's having a good time. But, yeah, the amount of cautions here. So I'm actually seeing some people talking about suspending Corey LaJoie. I mean, ultimately, I don't know if suspending him will accomplish what needs to be done, which is correcting the behavior. Because for him, I mean, he's already. I mean, maybe if he were suspended for the Daytona race, I mean, that would essentially end his playoff hopes. But being suspended for Indianapolis, I mean, granted, it would get LaJoie his break sooner, but yeah. Okay, so yeah, that was an engine blowing up there for Ty Gibbs. Let's see. Oh, the website crashed for the leaderboard. Getting that refreshed here. Alright, people are saying that is definitely on the 7. I'm liking what I'm hearing from people that I happen to follow, so probably biased sources, but alright, here we go. So just resizing or reshaping this thing here. Alright, there we go. Got that all done, and we are ready to keep going. Let's see. How's everybody doing? Who's everybody thinks... Let's go through. Everybody in chat. We got 8 people hanging out in chat. Thank you guys for everybody that's in here. Let's see how many... Who you guys all think is going to get this win. Hamlin's definitely... Could be a right place, right time type of situation for Hamlin. My pre-race pick was Truex, so the fact that he's still top 5, top 10 helps my case that maybe he can get that one. Blaney Bowman starting on that front row could be a potent threat. And I say, so many drivers getting their first wins of the season. Ironically, almost every name on that list that got their first win of the season in the last 8 races, almost every one of them, except for Bowman, was a Ford. Because Ford went so bad at the beginning of the season. Alright, there we go. Let's see. Alright, that's something completely unrelated. And here we go. Let's see. 26 laps to go. Should be, again, plenty of fuel, so that should not be a question unless we get a ton of overtime, which is possible, but we'll have to wait and see. Alright, and we are ready to go racing. Could certainly see maybe Bell or Reddick have a surge here late for the win. Certainly can't rule out a Keselowski or Buescher. Buescher currently 11th. Brad Keselowski pictured in 8th place. As they're getting ready for the choose cone. Should be a good one. Alright, let's see. Alright, what are they telling, let's see, what are they telling Alex Bowman? Had good restarts on the outside. Teammate behind us. Alright. And now they're talking to the 11 crew. Again, the 11 crew pretty much... The 11 crew's best thing is that they gotta try and be the ones to help keep the 48 and the 48 and the 24 from getting linked up. Because if the two of them combine their effort, almost certainly they end up winning this thing. But, yep. We've been live for 3 hours now, and we are ready for a long one. led each of the last 10 races. Yep, makes sense. 7-time winner at this track for Denny Hamlin. Again, if you were going on experience, he would absolutely be the favorite. Was going to be my first overall pick if I had had the first overall pick there. Alright, there's Ty Gibbs climbing out the car to go talk to his team. Yeah, he's definitely disappointed about that one. Alright, here we go. Lined up, ready to go racing. 23 laps to go when they take the green flag as the lights have gone off in the pace car. Let's see. So Bowman on the inside. He has his teammate on his rear bumper. How did we allow those two to end up bumper to bumper on the inside line? What have we done to allow those guys? And yeah, there we go. But Briscoe is in the high point car. But what did we do to allow the 200 cars in the top 5 to start nose tail? And here we go. Let's see. Alright. Oh, I was about to say, maybe we'll now finally get a chance to see what car McDowell's in. Honestly, let me just go and look at the paint scheme preview so I can at least know what the sponsor I'm looking for is when he inevitably probably gets crashed here late. I'm not seeing a paint scheme preview. Oh, there it is. Pocono Raceway paint scheme preview. And let's see, is the 34 even listed? Oh, here we go. Let's see. Yep, okay, the 34 is the gunk blue and orange car. Okay, so we're looking for... So orange would be the big color we'd be looking for, even though blue is... Because blue is a very common color in that mid-pack. And here we go. Pace car's off. Dives for cover. Building the hands of Brian Blaney and Alex Bowman on that front row. Green, green, green. Green flag's out. We're back to racing. And here we go. Car's starting to pop out of line. Let's see. Yeah, it's Brian Keselowski. Oh, diving all the way to the inside. It's Briscoe trying to take a spot there. Going 3 wide up the inside. Gaining a row or 2 of positions in case of a caution here. And there we go. Making their way through. Blaney has the lead right now. And as of right now, the 2 cars behind him are battling it out for position. The 11 of Hamlin, the 48 of Bowman. Bowman on the inside. He's got the momentum, but the experience on the outside of Hamlin is so valuable. And off these corners, I would not be shocked to see Hamlin potentially get some running room here. There we go. Into the corner. He is going to be a whole lot better. And let's see. Into turn 1. Let's see. No, Bowman's going to be able to clear him, and now Bowman can maybe set his sights on trying to challenge. Meanwhile, here we go. Truex battling it out with Joey Logano for that 5th position, but as of right now, it looks like Joey Logano is going to have that. Alright, here we go. Let's see. But again, the 22 clearing the cars behind him of the 50, of the 45 and the 19. This battle realistically is not anywhere near over at this point. And let's see. settling through this, but again, right now, we don't really have a whole lot we can go off of here. Alright, Bell, Larson both up into the top 15, nearing the top 10. Michael McDowell's a lap down. How did we lose a lap? I genuinely want to know what we did to lose a lap. Probably got involved in one of those cautions and I just didn't see it. Alright, here we go. Bowman has the speed to potentially run down and catch Ryan Blaney here. Let's see. What is it going to be here? I will say, the fact that there's only like 24 cars left in this race is kind of surprising, but at this point we have exhausted almost every strategy, worked every possible option. Alright, here we go. Let's see. Again, here we go. 19 laps to go. Bowman's staying close. He's running, again, he's running within a tenth of a second of Blaney's laps. Blaney was fast that last time by. Not by much, though, and it is definitely still anybody's race. And by anyone, I pretty much mean Bowman or Hamlin could take it. I don't really know if anybody behind them could really take this one. But yeah, this is a track that Blaney's been strong at before. Blaney ended up getting his first career win at this track back in 2017 in the spring. Alright, here we go. Blaney to the bottom. Bowman able to get the draft off that. They're trying to, those two drivers both trying to, one trying to break the draft, the other one trying to keep it intact. Alright, let's see again. 18 laps to go and just, right now we're just riding. And honestly, this is why I was hoping for the strategy conversation. Because like right now, it's just a matter of, okay, well, look at the last lap. Yeah, leader's last lap versus Bowman's last lap. Leader was faster by a tenth of a second or two. So, I mean, if Blaney just keeps doing that, he's going to win this race because no one's going to be able to catch him. Alright, let's see. Alright, here we go. Let's see. Yeah, we're just kind of waiting this one out. Let's see. Martin Truex Jr. on the outside of Brad Keselowski. Keselowski trying to take the 8th position from Truex. Truex trying to play defense here, which is a little concerning, considering I was kind of hoping Truex was going to be playing offense here late in the race. Alright, Indianapolis next week. Definitely looking forward to that one. And here we go. Buescher trying to get by Alright, let's see. Again, right now we're just kind of waiting. Blaney's slowly inching away from Bowman, and Keselowski passes Truex, so it's just kind of ticking away here. 15, 16 laps to go. Now Chase Elliott to the inside of not Ty Gibbs. I wanted to say Ty Gibbs because of the interstate colors, but no, that is MTJ. So last pit stop and number of tires. So right now Reddick's the only driver on 4 tires. Yeah, new to this conversation. Alright, here we go. Truex versus Elliott dueling this one out. Alright, again, right now we're just kind of waiting to see what this one's going to end up doing. But right now, Elliott hanging on here pretty strong, keeping Truex on his toes. Alright, so yeah, right now Elliott's just racing Truex hanging with him, but at this point, we're just counting down the laps. There we go, Truex crosses him back over, back to the inside, and Truex takes that spot back. Alright, here we go. Bubba Wallace now trying to take on Chase Elliott for the battle for 9th. Alright, 13 laps to go, and again, we're just kind of waiting here, waiting to see what's going to end up happening throughout the final 13 laps. Let's see, again, right now we're there's not much to talk about. I mean, yeah, Hamlin doing good, Bowman hanging in there, but Blaney starting to slip away. I think this could easily be a second Ryan Blaney win of the season. And without a caution, I don't really see anything stopping Blaney at this point. Let's see, again, right now we're just chilling here. Blaney, they're going to do a flashback. Yep, there we go. Flashback to June 2017, where he got the Wood Brothers win number 99, driving that number 21 car. You got the Wood Brothers that won the iconic 99th win. And since then, the team as a whole has yet to be able to find a win. So we'll have to wait and see if maybe next year with Josh Berry or one of their current drivers. Alright, here we go. 12 laps to go. And again, Blaney's just ever so slightly gapping Bowman on every single lap here. I mean, hard to really talk when he's just like, okay, I'm going to gain 10th here, 10th there, 10th there, millisecond there. Man, here we go, let's see. Again, Blaney just continuing to inch further and further away from Bowman. We got just over 10 laps to go. And here we go. Again, there's a lot of cars out of this race. A lot of carnage today. Alright, let's see. Again, right now we just don't have much to really go off of here. I mean, again, Hamlin's starting to close in on Blaney, or not Blaney, on Bell, or wrong B name, on Bowman. Hamlin's starting to close in on Bowman here, but problem is that that's more so a product of Bowman backing up versus Blaney getting closer. 1.8 now, nearly 2 full seconds. Alright, let's see again. Right now we're just waiting this one out. There's nothing to talk about. All these drivers are gonna end up finishing with fuel in the car, barring a late caution. And say we pretty much know the finishing order. But yeah, legitimately, I don't know what more could be expected of drivers like Bowman here, because there's nothing they can really do here. 9 laps to go. It's going to be 8 at the line this time. 8 laps to go at the line this time. Alright, let's see. So yeah, again, Bowman and Hamlin both about 2 seconds back. Byron 4.5 seconds back. I mean, there's just nothing really they can do. It's going to be a Ryan Blaney win if there's no caution. Alright, again, right now, they're just, now that Bowman and Hamlin are close enough to battle for position, they're going to tank each other's shot at trying to catch Blaney, because, right now, Blaney needs to be caught by every single person here. Alright, here we go. Let's see. Again, right now, I'd love to see Hamlin get the pass down. And yeah, there we go. Hamlin gets the pass. Question is, does Hamlin have enough power to try and run down Blaney? Alright, here we go. Again, 7 laps to go. I just wish there was more to talk about here. I mean, even just even if I go down the grid, it's like, it's just like, okay, Buescher with a solid 17th place finish. Kyle Larson recovering to 13th. Alright, let's see again. 6 laps to go. We're just working our way through this one. This has been a very slow end of the race, mainly because of the fuel mileage. Once the fuel mileage got thrown out of this, it really didn't stop mattering. And last laps, Hamlin was faster that last lap, but the problem is what? Oh, here comes Hemrick down pit road. Is this gonna be? What? Is it? It's gonna be a flat tire, but no caution. And here we go. There goes Michael McDowell pulling out of line. That's probably him going, what, a second lap down? No, that's him going 3 down. Wow. So McDowell must have had some kind of issue. Alright, let's see again. 5 laps to go. Hamlin is 2.3 back, and he's catching him maybe a 10th a lap, if that. There's no way. Math is not in Hamlin's favor here unless Blaney has an issue or we have overtime. Alright, here we go. Again, we're just waiting this one out. It's been a long day. Hopefully everybody's enjoying this. I know I have kind of been very low energy here at the end of the stream, but I was really just taken out of it once Kyle got wrecked, and then the fuel mileage strategy became worthless. The strategy that we put the entire first half of the stream into calculating. And now all of a sudden, none of that matters, and it's all about track position. And it's all about just who was there at the right time. Alright, here we go. 4 laps to go, and again, as long as Blaney can make it through these corners without any issue, here we go. 3 laps to go this time by. 3 more times around. 3 laps to go, and Blaney is in the wind. Let's see. Last time, wow, the last time Penske won at Pocono was Keselowski in 2011. That's concerning. Again, right now, 3 laps to go. Blaney's just hanging on to a 2.3 second lead on Hamlin here. Hamlin at one point looked like he was going to be faster, but he's not faster by enough right now. Alright, here we go. And right now, I mean, this could be a big Penske weekend. They got the sweep in IndyCar between Scott McLaughlin last night, and then this afternoon, Will Power going on to win the race. And now you've got Ryan Blaney in some clean air, and he is 2.2 seconds out ahead of Hamlin. Looks like it's going to be a clean finish here. Now let's see. Off turn 2, down the back straightaway they go. These bonus points are going to be important for Blaney going forward. Being able to point his way to the playoffs is going to be a key factor here. And let's see. What about that battle for the regular season points lead? Hamlin drops all the way to 20 points shy of the regular season points lead here with the way they're doing this. So here we go. White flag is out. Race will end. This is the last run. No late caution is going to mess this up. Alright, here we go. Blaney through turn 3. Off the final corner. And it's going to be down. Oh, is this the wrong? Okay, here we go. Through 3. Okay, I was on the wrong straightaway. So here we go. Through turn 3. The final corner. And it's going to be off the final corner. It is Ryan Blaney for his 2nd win of the season. Hamlin comes up 2nd. 3rd, Alex Bowman. 4th is going to be William Byron. And rounding out the top 5 today is Joey Logano. Man, that is a extremely underwhelming finish, but we got to the finish. Indy, hopefully next week will be a little bit more of an interesting finish because we haven't seen the track in a while. Reddick, Keselowski, Truex, Elliott, and Bubba Wallace rounding out your top 10. If you guys did just come for the race reaction, I don't know what you were expecting to see, but yeah, it's just, yep, it happened. There was no late caution, so ultimately the 12 team ends up winning, and yeah, we're going to be going to do our full field recap where I just go down through the list and read off the names. So if you guys want to know where your favorite drivers finished, you guys can stick around. But if you guys just came for the reaction, of course, I will see you guys at IRP next week. That is going to be the... that's going to be the... I'm going to be doing all 3 races next week, including the... so I'll be doing... I'll be doing IRP on Friday night, and then both Indy races on Saturday. So, here we go as Blaney comes down to collect the checkered flag. So, we saw Ryan Blaney win the race, obviously. Denny Hamlin second, Bowman third. Fourth was Byron. So, Hendrick kind of getting a little bit of momentum there. Logano coming home inside the top 5. Another upside there for Penske. Tyler Reddick coming home in the 6th position. Brad Keselowski 7th after playing some strategy games all afternoon. Martin Truex Jr. hangs on for an 8th place finish. Chase Elliott 9th. And Bubba Wallace came home in the 10th position. Now getting into the drivers that we didn't name already. Chris Buescher comes home 11th after a hard-fought day, earning himself some points and cushioning himself against a surprise winner that we didn't get. Christopher Bell coming home in the 12th position. 13th was Kyle Larson. 14th, Eric Jones. And rounding out your top 15, Chase Briscoe. Daniel Suarez comes home in the 16th position. 17th, rookie Carson Hocevar. 18th was Austin Cindric. 19th, Corey LaJoie. And rounding out the top 20 is Josh Berry, who will be heading to the Wood Brothers, where Blaney scored his first career win at Pocono. Weird little coincidence there. Then you've got AJ Allmendinger finishing 21st in the number 16 car. Justin Haley coming home 22nd, driving the number 51 Rick Ware racing car. 23rd goes to Austin Dillon as he comes home the last car on the lead lap. Michael McDowell in the number 34 car comes home 24th, 2 laps off the pace. Daniel Hemrick, 25th place, comes home 7 laps off the pace. Cody Ware comes home 26 laps shy of the checkered flag. Ty Gibbs, 28 laps shy of the checkered flag in 27th place. 28th position goes to John Hunter Nemechek, 34 laps off the pace. Zane Smith taken out in that same wreck at 34 laps before the end of the race. Ryan Preece rounding out your top 30 finishers. He and Harrison Burton both out the race 39 laps before the end of the race. And then Kyle Busch, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. both out of it 40 laps before the checkered flag. Todd Gilliland out 45 laps shy of the checkered flag. J.J. Yaley comes home in the NY Racing car 48 laps shy of the checkered flag. And then rounding out the field tonight, you had Ross Chastain 107 laps shy of the checkered flag, and Noah Gragson, the first driver to DNF, 147 points shy of the checkered flag. So there we go. That is your rundown through the full field. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you guys did enjoy this one, again, remember to hit the like button and subscribe for more. I will be, again, I should have at least some videos starting to come out. Yeah, more than just the streams, but in particular streams, I've got all 3 streams this coming weekend. IRP and the 2 Indy Ovals, so hopefully I will see you guys there, but until next time, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next video, live stream, whatever you decide to do with the rest of your night. Have a great night, everybody, and goodbye!